Hey there, fish keepers. Dean here. I am reporting to you from my recovery fish room. I set up my. I haven't done a video of an update here for a while because I set up my fish room as like kind of a recovery center for hip replacement surgery, and I got some awesome new fish. Which we won't be able to see because I can't get up around and get to them, but my wife's been taking care of me. They're all fed up. And I got lots of babies from them, but this is one species that I got, Corydoras garryi. You can see the males have that reticulated pattern on them. And they went in with my panda cories. So I got some wild caught. So the bigger pandas there are wild caught panda cories, and then the smaller pandas are just babies from my breeding stock that I put them in with. The the wild caught pandas, I believe, have had eggs in there. I collected a few. It could have been the garryis, but I would imagine that they would have had more babies than what I discovered, or more eggs than what I discovered. I don't know yet. I've only had them a week, but this has been the absolute perfect setup here to have while I can't walk very well, and I'm recovering from my hip surgery. So I've got this tank set up right beside my recovery bed here, and my wife has been helping me to feed the fish room, but it's still been nice because I can see almost all my tanks, and I've got this one here right beside the bed, and I can watch it at any time, and while we're watching movies I can keep an eye on it. Sometimes I get completely distracted by this tank and just have to watch it, but it's got the garryis, the panda cories, Fricatus rainbow, which I've raised over the last few months. They're not the fastest growing blue eyes, and then you can see my luminatus blue eyes in there. That's about, I don't know, I think there's about 20 luminatus and about 70 Fricatus in this tank. It's a 75 gallon. But yeah, they're gorgeous. Like, every fish in this tank is essentially one of my very favorite fish, so it's been awesome to have it right beside me while I'm getting better here. At the same time, I also picked up a few plants that were awesome at the Edmonton Aquarium Society auction, and from Common Sense Aquatics, Curtis there. He's got some awesome connections for fish and plants. Give him a shout to get some cool things. He helped me get the garryis there, which are kind of a bucket list fish. Might as well go with a bucket list fish if you're going to be watching your fish tank pretty much on the steady for up to 3 months for my recovery. So there should be a few video updates coming here. But some of the other species that I got Lagonandra right there. It's just planted like a week ago. It's not doing super awesome. I had Anne-Marie give me some green gecko crypt, which you can see in the middle there. And then I've got, a few weeks ago, I got the red variety of Barclaya longfolia, which is super awesome. It is a gorgeous plant. I really can't say enough about it. Super impressed with it. It comes in a bulb. There was just a few leaves up when I first got it, but it's grown a lot. So I got it in the 75 that I basically set up for my recovery. It's a pretty cool tank with a lot of room for it's mainly a grow out tank, but there's a lot of room in it. So I've got this like bit of a piece of wood here for the cories to hide under. It's awesome to watch at night, but they've got like a little cave in there, and it actually goes all the way through. But the main thing with this tank to make it so that the cories are pretty comfortable is it's pretty heavily planted. I've got some Anubias in there, some Crypt lutea, some Crypt Aponifolighedia. I don't think that's the right way to say it. I'd have to read it to say it properly. Crypt Balance and Crypt Griffithii. back in here, and I've got a spawning mop here just to see if the cories will go. I know that the Pseudomogil luminatus are going like crazy in there, and the Furcatus too. But I haven't been collecting any eggs out of there. I just look for big eggs in it, and I think I haven't seen any of the Pseudomogil eggs in there. I think they've just been eating them all. I'd have to check it right away in the morning to get any of those, but my hopes are not too high with that. And as you can see, the tank is kind of set up as a room divider here between my bed and the rest of the fish room, which you can see the tanks in behind there. But it works super awesome. I really love this type of display. It's kind of like a triangular composition, but with what was going to be a lot of sand out to the point here. Like if you look, basically everything to the right of the Barclaya longfolia was supposed to be a sand area where the cories could snuffle around, but I had so many extra plants that I ended up planting part of it, and yeah, it looks good. It'll grow out, and then I'll kind of dial it back so that there's more sand, because that was super cool to watch at first too. I've got a few videos of that. I did earlier on, but it's been a super busy time with the surgery coming up. Way busier than I thought it was going to be, to just get this ready and other tanks. I also picked up another 40-gallon breeder, which is actually right below this one, but it's really tough for me to get at this point, not being able to walk too good and film on. But here in the coming weeks I should get more mobility and be able to get up and let you show what's in there. Some of my favorite fish that I've ever kept are in that tank as well, and they're all new. I've never kept them before, but Curtis with Common Sense Aquatics hooked me up with things that I didn't think I was ever gonna find, and hooked me up with them before my surgery, which is awesome. And I've got some fry from them already, but I'll save that for another video. And I'm super impressed that he was able to get that species of fish for me, or two species. But yeah, this is kind of my view while recovering. I think that most fish keepers could appreciate this one. It's you know, I didn't really know how it was going to turn out until, you know, the first time that you feed them some shrimp pellets in a grow out tank for Furcatus and luminatus, and with the Corydoras in there, and it's turned into quite a spectacle. It keeps me completely enthralled whenever I feed them. It's like basically do my exercises and put on my cold pack to reduce the swelling on my leg, and then watch the fish for a while, and this keeps me still and 100% entertained. It's super neat. You can see some of my young luminatus males in there are just gorgeous, along with the Furcatus males, and there's lots of sparring going on in here as the young males mature in the tank, so it's pretty cool to watch. Plus there's a lot of Corydoras in here. Like the Gary eyes are a pretty, you know, they're a showstopper kind of a fish, but there's also 16 pandas in there, which is really cool too. I like it the way that they line up for their dinner. Often it's you can kind of see it right now. The Gary eyes are usually right in the corner after the pellets, and then the pandas, then you got the Furcatus, and then the luminatus. And don't worry, the luminatus and the Furcatus get lots of food, so I feed them some tetratropical granules crushed up before I even start with these shrimp pellets, because the Furcatus and luminatus definitely wouldn't get enough food, and feed them before these pellets get in there, and then the big guys can have theirs, and the pandas can get some of the tetratropical granule that's left over from it. One of the things that I've been really impressed with this particular tank, it's the first time I've set up a Haiger 24/7 light on, and it's done really well. I've managed to avoid an algae bloom on this tank. It's only about 6 weeks old, and the light seems to be doing really quite well as far as helping to grow plants. But I set it up pretty heavily planted at first, which is always the case to avoid an algae bloom, and put lots of duckweed in here to avoid any kind of big algae blooms. You can see there's always lots of dust kicking around here. The Cories kick it up pretty good when they're feeding. You can see there's lots of duckweed in here to avoid the algae bloom. So we managed to do that, and it actually came around just about perfectly. I can see the odd tiny bit of hair algae in the different places in the tank. But next to none. There was a bit of a bloom on some of the plants that grow higher, the Cryptocorum bolonce. Picked it all off, did a few water changes on it, like 20-30%, maybe 4 or 5 times, and yeah, it's done a really good job with avoiding algae. So I'm super happy with how it turned out, and it's and you want to have that, you know, when you're recovering from a major surgery, you want to have things going well that you can control. So this turned out really well, and you know, if you've got the capacity and the desire to have an aquarium close by while you're recovering, I would say that it is completely enthralling and really motivating, because I want to get better so I can get up and, you know, move more water around so I can get these Garryi breeding and other fish in my fish room. So I'm incredibly happy with how this turned out, and I hope you enjoy the little update here. And I will get well soon, and I will be sending out more videos for your enjoyment. Happy fish keeping!